Hi everyone, my name is Chris. You can also find me on my socials as the Baba Duchess. I am a part-time movie critic and horror blogger and a full-time drive-in mutant, and this is my horror channel. And welcome to my first video. On this channel, I plan on doing a lot of reviews, talking about other things that people are excited about or other chatter in the horror community. For my first video, I'll be doing a review of Death of a Unicorn. I was lucky to get a sneak peek at my local theater. I'd been looking forward to this movie since I first saw the teaser trailers. I grew up obsessed with unicorns. I still love unicorns, but also being a horror movie fanatic, I also like the idea of seeing a darker take on the myth. I'm happy to say that this movie delivered. It was just a lot of fun. I'll start with the cast. Everyone in the cast was obviously having a lot of fun, and everyone in the cast also knew the assignment. Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega are a father and daughter whose relationship has become strained after the death of his wife and her mother. Paul Rudd's character Elliot is on his way to visit a client. He has brought his daughter Ridley along with him. She's not really very happy to be going along with this. And he's basically hoping to solidify his standing with his family so maybe he can become a partner in their business, just saying, you can count on me, I'll do whatever. And this is one of those families that they have a lot of money, probably in pharmaceuticals, but they kind of pretend like they're putting all this money into like a good thing. They have a game preserve that's in their name where they live on. And I like that this movie kind of took a shot at these rich people who they don't care about anything except lining their own pockets, but they're kind of pretending. They have this whole vanity through philanthropy facade going on. So I always like it when we can take a shot at something like that. Richard E. Grant is the dying patriarch, and Taya Leone is his wife, and Will Poulter, who was amazing in this, is their son, who maybe he does something in the business, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. He makes a lot of phone calls, demands a lot of stuff of their butler. That's that's what he does. And you also have Anthony Carrington as their butler, valet, servant, who, if you watched Bill Hader's show Barry, you will remember Anthony Carrigan as NoHo Hank. And he's amazing in this. For me, he was like the standout performance. He doesn't even have a lot of lines. He just says so much with just facial expressions or a sigh, or you get everything you need to know about him and the family dynamic. It's great. It adds a little more to the comedy aspect of it because it is hard to do horror and comedy together. They go really well together, but unfortunately, it's really hard to get a good movie where they really actually work well off of each other. For every American Werewolf in London or Tucker and Dale versus Evil, you have a lot of other ones that just they either are just a comedy with like a couple little bits of gore, or the horror just doesn't work. So this one works well as that. I would really call it more of a dark horror comedy. But we have all our pieces in place as to why Elliot's going to be going there, why his daughter doesn't want to be there, and this family who's just kind of the stereotypical rich family, and how they expect everyone to just kind of go along with whatever they want. Now, on the way, as you've probably seen in the trailer, Elliot and his daughter hit something in the road. They find out that it is a unicorn. This was the only part where some of the CGI was a little bit spotty. I found that the baby unicorn, it looked okay. I understand it's really hard with working with, it has to be CGI because these creatures do not exist. That was the only part that took me out of it, was really the baby. So Ridley and Elliot, they get to the house, obviously in a panic, not wanting anybody to find out what has happened. Of course, they do find out what happened, and they've also found out that properties of the unicorn will cure just about anything. Jenna Ortega is Ridley, desperately wants to just set the unicorn free. Everyone else is, no, we have to keep this. It's for science, but we really know it's for money. But of course, later on, the parents come back for their baby. That's where the fun begins. That is the meat of this movie, and yes, it was a lot of fun. I really liked the design of the unicorns. I can be picky just because of my past obsession with unicorns. I don't like when they just take a horse and stick a horn on it. It's a whole other creature. So I like that it had more of like a thick I liked the thick furry coat of it. I liked the horn design. I also liked how they differentiated between male and female unicorns, which I never gave much thought to. I always thought of unicorns as just a uniform thing. I never really thought of them in terms of gender, I guess. When they wanted new ones, they just made a new one because they're magic and they can just poof one into being. I never really gave any thought to, you know, any sort of binary with unicorns. So I did think that was fun. Like Daddy had a little bit of a beard, and his horn was pretty badass. That thing looked like a major sword. Like you could have seen that in Lord of the Rings. And then Mommy was a little more slender. But they also had, the unicorns that you were kind of seeing in beast mode were very different from their usual mode, which is how they found the baby. So I like that, how, they are these pretty magical, mythical, beautiful creatures, but if you tick them off, they will go feral very fast and they will kick your ass. And for an animal with a horn on its head, I think it's important to see that. You do have the typical theme of, greed over doing what is right, with the family wanting to at all costs, we have to keep this thing. I don't care. Do whatever you have to, capture it. We'll capture the parents and we'll breed them. That kind of a deal and you have Elliot wrestling with, he knows what is right and he wants to help his daughter, but he also wants to secure his financial future. There's a lot of that in this where he's really doing it for her so she won't have to want for anything, even though he knows these are terrible people. He should not be helping them. So you have Jenna Ortega as the heart of the movie, and she worked really well as that. And I did think Paul Rudd pulled off that very kind of being pulled in two different directions. He knows better. He is a good person, but he also thinks he's doing the right thing by his daughter by helping these people. So you do have some themes, but you're also having fun. There is some decent gore. Like I said, there is a lot of CGI, but they did use practical effects when possible. I did like, especially since a lot of it takes place at night, they used a lot of shadows and obstructed views, so that way you didn't really have to see the full unicorn all the time, because that can take you out of it, or at least me, just because you obviously know it's CGI, and even though it did look pretty decent, it and it can affect things. So I did like that they used a lot of that. Everyone was just very smart, I think, about how this movie was made. They wanted to make it fun. They did. The cast was obviously having fun, and that made it fun. So, yeah, this is something, like I said, I've been waiting to see a movie like this for a very long time. These past 3 months waiting for it have been a challenge for me. To see this creature that's usually all about, purity and associated, like with little girls. I liked seeing it just kind of just go wild, kick ass. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not the best movie in the world, but I definitely had a blast. I recommend it. You just want to go have some fun. You want to see something that you haven't seen before in a way that it hasn't been presented before. Go for it. This Baba Duchess is going to give it 3 out of 5 hats. So if you're still with me through my rambling, I appreciate it. I know this is a short video. I don't want to give too much away. I don't really like to do spoilers. I think most of what I talked about was already in the trailer. So forgive me if I did spoil anything. But I look forward to doing more of these. I've got another one already thinking up in the pipeline here. So, give it a like, maybe subscribe. Find me on socials. You can also check out my blog, horrormatters.blog. I do a lot of movie reviews on there. I also talk about different things that are on my mind. I did a piece recently about horror at the Oscars. I've done a piece about, how I got into horror, because I was kind of a a late bloomer, at least by 80s kid standards. And I know I'm aging myself, but I was a kid in the 80s, which was the heyday of slashers and stuff, but I wasn't quite into it then. So, but yeah, so check those out. Give me a like, a subscribe. Tell any of your horror friends if you think they might like this. I have two rules of fandom. And I know it sucks to have rules for fandom, but these are mine. Like what you like. Don't be a dick. There are no guilty pleasures. Just like what you like. Own it. Someone else doesn't like it. Who cares? And if you don't like what someone else likes, don't be a dick. That's all. And without getting too heavy, I know things are pretty serious out there in the world right now. So I'm just going to leave you with a couple things that I was told by a lady very dear to me. Be good to one another. Take one day at a time and do the best you can. I'll see you soon.